Hey all, how are you doing? It's Reg from Aver Reg Guy. So we've been working on the Jupiter project and we're on the last moon. It's Io. So we want to go to Io, get off there, and get back to Earth. Now Io is a small moon, fairly small moon. It's one of the four big ones for Jupiter, but it's a smaller moon for Jupiter, but it's close to the planet. And so that's going to be our issue with this case. So let's see if we can get there, get off, and get back to Earth. So same rocket we're going to work with. And off we go. And again, I'll do sometimes here where I don't talk too much just so we can let the time go by a little faster. Okay, so this is where the work starts. Is we want to start adjusting things a little bit here. So I'm going to turn on my RSS. Work with the thrusters a little bit. So I'm going to do my spiral and approach again. There are other ways of doing it, but this is one I find that works really good for saving fuel. You can see from the start of the approach, like 1200 meters per second, we're already up to about 6,000 meters per second. Just that weight of Jupiter. The gravitational field that it throws is pretty amazing. Again, the most efficient burning is when you're right at the inner point. And I don't want to use up all my fuel at this point, so. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get as close as we can. So we're a little bit inside, a little bit outside of Europa's orbit there, and same on this side. So let's rotate around so we can try to bring in the one side a little bit. Okay, I'm going to switch to thrusters. And see if we can use the thrusters to bring this in. Yep, all the way around. Okay, so I think we're at a good position. Europa is coming up in behind us here. So let's start going around and let Europa catch up to us. I just want to see how fast it's catching. Yep, don't want to do that again. Okay, you can see how we've gone into the... Wow, in fact, whoa. There we go. We almost shot past it. So let's get looped around down to the inner part. There does not appear to be an atmosphere here. So at 300 meters per second, we're just slowing ourselves down here. This last little bit of fuel. Here we go. Landed on surface of Io. Okay, so now that we're on Io, let's see if we can get home. We got a fair amount of fuel left, so let's see where we are first. Well, let's do this. Sorry, this way. Yeah, isn't that pretty? So it's not like Europa, which is a big ball of ice. This thing has some volcanoes and stuff on it too. It's an interesting looking moon. Europa is more of the big ball of ice, very smooth. This one's very, very rough. And just landing on the side of one of these little ledges can be bad news for you. Okay, let's see where we are now. So we are inside, and the Earth is going to our right. You can see one of my other lands over there. That's my little probe. But for some reason it doesn't count my probe on the landing on Io for some reason. Okay, so let's see where we are again. So we want to go up and straight if we can. So just straight up would be an answer for that. So we are now orbiting. Yeah. So let's go to Earth. Okay, so bad approach. Again, you don't want a really sharp bend. You want more of a C shape. That's the one we want. The transfer window is, of course, right behind us. And we're not going to have enough fuel to get completely out of Jupiter with these two engines, so we'll have to pop them and go with the small system too. As you can see, we're starting to grow out the backside there. So now we cross our fingers that we have enough oomph to get out of here. Just getting away from this darn planet is what the issue is. Okay, and sometimes what you'll notice is when you do this, it'll start doing this sort of thing. Get out of the gravitational well of Jupiter here. So just get out and then do it. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting so much fuel. Just using thruster engines if I can here. There we go. Sometimes, there we go. I know it shows me in the atmosphere. I can adjust that with thrusters later. But sometimes it really makes it tough to... I've had it before where it would have been a successful, but I wasn't pointed at the atmosphere, and I right on past. When you run out of fuel, you run out of fuel. So 1,900 is not so bad. It's going to be quite a bit faster by the time I get in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start hitting thruster, or the reverse, and using my thrusters at the same time to slow down, but also not enter the atmosphere too far. Out of fuel. Here we go. That was an efficient use of fuel. Now I'm going to point myself into and then pop. And that little bit of a push, it slows me down even just a hair more. But just a hair. Now let's see how fast we're going by the time we get down there. IO project. Let's see if we can get this landed. I'm coming in backwards from my normal way of doing it, but we should be fine. We're below everything that would cause us an issue. So the temperature is coming up. Speed is coming down. Come on. A little slower. Temperature is still going up. Okay, it's coming down. We're good. Yeah. That's always the good thing when it starts coming down. So we've had a successful I/O. Get in there, get landed. And again, be careful landing there because that ground is so rough. But we got in there, and yeah, these sort of things, it's hard. Got in there, got out, and headed back to Earth here. I did not get an orbit before I landed, but we were also out of fuel. But we'd slowed down enough that we were okay. So as long as we don't miss popping the parachute, we'll be good. So this finishes the Io moons, or sorry, the Jupiter moons. Now the next thing is to enter the moon, Jupiter's atmosphere, leave Jupiter's atmosphere, and get back to Earth. Because we're not going to be able to land on Jupiter, and we will make an attempt at one point to land, even though theoretically we should not be able to land. but we will make an attempt just because it's fun. So we'll make an attempt to land on Jupiter at one point, but the next one is to go into Jupiter's atmosphere, get out of the atmosphere, loop around and go back and land on Earth again. So we have a successful reach the orbit, get to the sphere of Jupiter, captured in low Earth orbit on Io. We also have a higher orbit on Io. Landed on Io, escaped Io, influence of Earth, and 4,570 degrees. It's a little warm, but they can handle it. And safely return. So recover. So if I go to the Space Center, and it says now Io is 2 for 2. Okay. So again, Jupiter is the next one. So I've entered Jupiter's atmosphere before and made it back. But it's the capture into low Jupiter orbit I did not do. I just sort of skimmed from a distance and then entered Jupiter's upper atmosphere, which if I re-entered the atmosphere, how is that different? I'm not really sure. So there you go. So please subscribe, hit like, hit the bell, tell your friends, get some people over here watching these videos. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys next one.